Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Nicole and this is Pixel Maven's Retreat. If you are new here, please do click the subscribe button while we're getting started. So I've got a project for you today that is with Festive Friday, and Festive Friday is a bi-weekly challenge blog that I am a design team member and owner of. And our theme this week is Wear Your Pearls Day, which is coming up in a few weeks. So we thought we would create an inspiration list that is based on that particular festivity. So you can see all of the items are kind of like round or pearls, clean and simple, black and white, all those great things. So if we take a look at my card, you can see that I've used lots of the options. So I've used circles, clean and simple, black and white, pink, and embossing paste. So of course I did go over the 3-item minimum. All you need to do is select 3 items and create a project from that and link up to our challenge blog, and you might be picked as a festive fave. So I'm going to show you how I created this card, and then hopefully that inspires you to link up and create with us. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and stamp the sentiment and get that die cut, and then that part of the project is out of the way. And I am using a stamp set called A Few Words. This is by the Stamp Market, and there's a coordinating die that goes with it. So I'm using Altenew's new Obsidian Black Pigment ink, and I love black pigment ink for stamping sentiments because it gives you such a crisp, clean image without much effort. And as you can see, I'm not going to have to restamp that or anything. It is just a beautiful, crisp image. So I just need to grab my die here. And once I get that all lined up, I'll be able to run it through the Big Shot, and then we can move to the messy part. Okay, so for the messy part, if you will, I am using embossing paste to add these dots to the card, and I'm hoping that you can kind of see the raised texture there. And I wanted to make them black, so I thought, well, I could do black cardstock with white dots, but I really wanted to stretch it and see if I could get black embossing paste to happen. So I'm using the altenew Tiny Bubbles stencil. I really like that it's got all sorts of different shapes of circle. I thought that would be something a little different than just going with maybe their bubble wrap stencil that is all the same size and very linear and geometric. I wanted to go for more of the randomness, especially since I was going for black and white. I thought it needed some visual interest. So I have a piece of Nina Solar White cardstock on here, and I just used some Post-it tape to stick it on the back side, so that way when I put my embossing paste across it, I'm not going to get it on, I'm not going to have an empty space. So this is the Altenew embossing paste, and this is just a piece of Glad press and seal, and that helps to keep the embossing paste nice and fresh. So I just put that over the top and put the lid on it, and it works perfect. So I'm going to grab a big glop of this and put it over to the side here. And hopefully I don't need to go back into that because I'll have to grab another tool if I do. This should be plenty though. And then I'm using the dye ink to jet black color from Altenew. This is the re-inker. So you can take white embossing paste and recolor it to any color that you need. It's just a matter of how much you actually need to add. So I'm adding 5 drops of the jet black. And if I don't get this dark enough, I can add more. But what you'll see is that it ends up being kind of purple if I don't get it dark enough. So I think that was probably pretty good for the dollop of embossing paste I had. Well, actually, see, it's turning kind of gray now at this point. So I have an extra tool here to scrape it off. Let's see what we have going on. So this is kind of like a purpley gray because that's what this constituent colors of the jet black. It's like a green and a blue together to make the black color. So I just add some more, and eventually we'll get this to the point where it's pretty darn black. And as you can see, it did stain my embossing or my stencil, but that's okay. It's not going to affect its performance. So it looks like I need to add even more. Come on, black, I know you want to happen. There, we're getting there. So sometimes instead of smushing it out on a palette like this, it's easier to do it in like a little Dixie cup. That works pretty good. Or you can just have fun with it on a glass mat like so. Alright, so once you feel like you've got your color mixed up well enough and you like the shade of it, you're just going to go ahead and use it on your stencil like normal. It's really no different. I always cut my piece of cardstock larger so that way I can go from edge to edge, and then I can pick out the best part of the project. So get that all on there. And it's up to you how smooth you want to make your embossing paste. So sometimes it's nice to have those ridges going through, and you get like a little bit of extra texture on your embossed parts. Sometimes you want to try to make it as smooth as possible. So that just means going ahead and going over it a couple times to get it all across and then getting rid of some of these ridges. Alright, so that's pretty good. You can see where this can really be a mess, especially with the black. Alright, and then I'm just going to go ahead and pull this off, and we'll go ahead and set this aside to dry. Alright, now that this is dry, I've got it chopped down to the appropriate size, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and that'll fit right on my card base. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this, and then we'll do just a little bit of ink blending to make the sentiment pop out. I tried it without, and I'll show you that in a second here. It just doesn't look as cool as it could, as if I put a little bit of color behind it. I don't think it stands out enough. So the easy fix to that is to just add a little bit of ink blending. Alright, so this is what the card would look like with that on there, and I think that looks kind of neat, but you can see that when you put that pop of color behind it, it really helps the sentiment to stand out. So I'm just going to grab a blending brush, and this is Baby Pink by Altenew, and load this guy up and get a little bit of color in here. Now what I noticed is that it does pick up some of the black from the circles, and that's okay. It just ends up being kind of more of a mauve-y purple color. It just needs to be enough to allow that to stand out. So that's actually quite good. Let's go ahead and I already put some adhesive strip pieces on here. I just like to cut these off and then add them on the back. This particular stamp set works really well because the little die cut parts are 1/8 of an inch wide, and that's exactly what that foam is. So I just have to cut little pieces and make sure that I get them strategically placed so that way you don't see them from the other side. Alright, so those are off. And now I can go ahead and place my sentiment. And another cute project for Festive Friday is complete. I hope you really enjoyed this fun take on embossing paste and all of the elements from Festive Friday, and I hope it inspires you to check out our inspiration list and link up with us. So just go ahead to festivefridaychallenge.com to see all of the team inspiration and to grab the full inspo list and create a project to link up with us. I'll be back with another video soon, but until next time, happy crafting.